Joey Logano wins the All Star Race. Why that's a good thing for him and for Ford. And we'll also discuss the quote-unquote fight that happened between Rickey Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch coming up next. Threw that finger slightly faster than Rickey Stenhouse Jr. threw that punch. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Joey Logano gets the deal done. He wins the All-Star Race, $1 million richer. Nothing really more you can say about the race other than that. Like, he dominated it. He led 199 of the 200 laps. And before him, Ty Gibbs in the Open led just about all the laps, if not all the laps, in the Open as well. Ty Gibbs transfers in along with Bubba Wallace, and Noah Gragson gets the fan vote. So that was pretty much that. We'll run through the top 10 real quick, even though it doesn't pay points, and then we'll get on to the fight. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, I want to mention something there. No practice at all. Just got there and basically raced the car, so not a bad fourth place finish for him. Ryan Blaney, the car looked really good at times, but sort of fell off there toward the end, as did Larson's. Finishes in 5th place. Bubba Wallace in 6th place, the highest finishing driver of the people that transferred from the Open. Ross Chastain finishes 7th. Chase Elliott finishes 8th. Michael McDowell 9th. And Kyle Busch finishes 10th. And of course, if you look at the bottom there, Rickey Stenhouse Jr. finishes last, because at the very beginning of the race, Kyle Busch did not like how Rickey Stenhouse Jr. was racing him and just sent him into the wall. I think this was more or less a Lifetime Achievement Award for Rickey Stenhouse. But first, let's look at the fight, just in case you live in a rock and haven't seen it yet.
There's $1 million on the line. I think all the rules go out the window of clean, so I knew that was coming. I was trying to maintain that clean air. If I lost the clean air, we wouldn't have won the race. So we maintained it all day, and man, feels good. Feels great.
Congratulations. Joey Logano fired up, and we've got a fight going on right now between Kyle Busch and Rickey Stenhouse Jr.
Those two crashed back at lap number 2.
Get off of here.
And now the pit crews are involved.
Go. Get out of here.
So you see there via Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports, whoever, that, Rickey Stenhouse Jr. didn't like what Kyle Busch did back to him. So Rickey Stenhouse Jr., I guess, is standing up for himself. He goes in there and throws the bomb there. Kyle Busch gets his arm up just a little bit to deflect it, but still catches it around the back of the ear, around the neck area, somewhere in there. And then the huge dude from RCR, he walks in and just clears house. So no winners in this particular issue, because the whole thing was pretty lame, to be totally honest. The only people who really win are like social media and meme accounts, because they have been memeing and making fun of this ever since it happened. So that's the only real winners there. And I guess the fans who are having a good laugh about it as well. I guess technically NASCAR wins, because instead of talking about a boring all-star race where the tires didn't fall off as much as they thought. Now I will say this, NASCAR is going in the right direction, but they need to go further with it. Goodyear needs to go further with it. So if they did fall off, they need to fall off more. So that was the other, I guess, aspect of it we needed to cover from the all-star race. But instead of talking about that, we're actually talking about this. So it gives NASCAR another bump in the ratings and stuff like that, because there is something to talk about. They just had the basically the photo finish from last week, and now they've got this. So they're riding a crest. They're riding a high as far as this goes. But let's look at what both of these drivers had to say after the race, as to or after the fight or incident or whatever, as to how they feel about it after the fact.
Pent up anger from just this moment, or does it go back beforehand?
I felt like Kyle and I have always raced each other really hard. Back to the Nationwide Series when we were competing for wins week in and week out, and never had any issues. And then, I wrecked him one time at Daytona, and, he's been kind of bad-mouthed me ever since then. So I feel like we get along with each other okay outside the racetrack. I talked to him quite a bit, and I'm not sure why he was so mad that, I shoved it 3 wide, but he hit the fence and kind of came off the wall and ran into me. And I don't know, when I was talking to him, he kept saying that I wrecked him. So, just definitely built up frustration with, how he runs his mouth all the time, about myself. But I know he's frustrated because he doesn't run near as good as he used to. And I understand that. We're a single car team over here. We're working really hard to, go out and get better each and every weekend. And, we had a really good game plan coming in. Our car was really strong. Yesterday Friday in practice, I was looking forward to running to the front. I think we'd passed a couple cars there, and I was excited for the rest of the night, and he ruined it. So, being stuck in here definitely doesn't help the frustration. if there was a tunnel, I'd have probably been home watching the end of that. But
so you see Rickey Stenhouse Jr. talking with Jamie Little there from Fox, and he basically said that him and Kyle Busch have been beefing off and on the track. He said, I guess not outside of the track. They've actually been kind of cool and cordial, but sort of on the track, they've sort of been, they've had this unspoken, they don't like each other on the track because of a wreck that happened in Daytona. And that's what I was saying about the Lifetime Achievement Award for Rickey Stenhouse Jr. Kyle Busch was tired of being driven like that by Rickey Stenhouse Jr. and probably other people, which we're going to get to in just a minute. But it seems like a Lifetime Achievement Award for him. But Rickey Stenhouse Jr. Felt like he didn't do anything wrong in that particular incident, not buying into the Lifetime Achievement Award aspect of it, and felt like he had to stand up for himself. And from Rickey Stenhouse Jr.'s perspective, yeah, in that situation, I don't have a problem with him standing up for himself and going over there and having a chat with Kyle Busch. So let's look at Kyle Busch's perspective on it.
Stenhouse there at the start.
Which one?
When he got into you and then you got into him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first lap of the race. We don't even have water temp in the car yet, and we're wrecking each other off at 2.
Did you feel like the need to retaliate against him, or was that...
Tired of getting run over by everybody. But that's what everybody does. Everybody runs over everybody to pass everybody.
So you see right there, Kyle Busch is just talking about Pockrass, Fox Sports. He is just tired of being driven like that by everybody, and he decided, you know what, today is the day. I put on Twitter, the Kyle Busch Revenge Tour starts today, and I think that's basically what this is. He's tired of people driving him with no respect. And from here on out, if you drive, he's going the Brad Keselowski route. If you drive Kyle Busch like that, he's letting you know, you drive me like that, I'm just going to put you into the fence. So you're either going to drive Kyle Busch with respect, or he's going to put you in the fence. So I don't think he's backing away from what he did either, and I don't think he's going to change the way he's driving going forward. So I think you've got two guys, from these comments, you've got two guys who are standing here saying, I'm not wrong, I don't apologize for anything I did, which means, is this going to linger into the future? And if it does linger into the future, there's Rickey Stenhouse Jr., who is currently sitting outside the top 20 in points. He's got nothing in this situation unless he gets a win. He's got to aim to get a win. But if he's having a day where he's not getting a win, and let's say he gets frustrated and he comes across Kyle Busch, he could just up and decide to wreck him, and that could be detrimental to Kyle Busch. I say that because even though Kyle Busch screamed at him, I suck as bad as you on that hauler, Kyle Busch right now currently sits 13th in points, right behind the two RFK cars of Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. So as much as people talk about positively, RFK is back and RFK is going to be in the title hunt. I've got, people are saying, hey, I've got RFK in my Final Four, things like that. Even though Kyle Busch is right there with him in points, people talk about Kyle Busch's season in the exact opposite way because they're just held to two different standards. Even though Kyle Busch won 3 races last year with RCR, there is still this perception that the RCR car is not fast, even though he is right there beside the RFK cars, who are literally being talked about positively every time you hear about somebody talk about the RFK cars. It's just one of those weird things in sports where it's all about perspective. People are perceiving RFK to be having a good season. People are perceiving RCR and Kyle Busch to be having a poor season. But if you go back and look at some of Kyle Busch's results, if you look at those DNFs, where he was running when he had those DNFs, he was actually running pretty good. So I think they're actually, points-wise, points tell the truth, right? Points-wise, he is where he is. He's right there with the RFK cars, and I think the RFK cars are having a good season. I think Kyle Busch, despite not being in the top 5 in points where he probably wants to be, I think his cars have had speed, not at the short tracks. Although it looks like RCR might have hit something for the short tracks here on this particular day, so maybe they've got those woes behind him. But I don't think they're having necessarily as bad a season as they're perceived to have, and that's bad for Kyle Busch because if Rickey Stenhouse Jr. decides to take this thing further and just wreck him every single weekend, that's going to take him out of the top 13 in points and possibly ruin his season, knocking him out of the playoffs, was the overall point I was trying to make before I got into that other spiel there. But you get what I'm saying. It's going to be more detrimental to Kyle Busch if this thing goes forward and lingers on than it will be possibly to Rickey Stenhouse Jr. And one final thing, I saw a few people saying that Rickey Stenhouse Jr. punched him because of what Kyle Busch said to him. So I did find audio of the particular conversation that they had. From my perspective, Kyle Busch didn't really say anything out of the way. I think Rickey Stenhouse Jr. just walked over there and he knew what he was going to do the whole time. So it didn't matter what Kyle Busch was going to say because I didn't hear Kyle Busch say anything out of the way. until after the fist was thrown. And then after that, that's when Kyle Busch opened up and started dropping the F-bombs and stuff like that. But before that, it seemed actually pretty cordial, and Rickey Stenhouse Jr. just reared back and gave him one. So here you go. Here is the audio from that. Like I said, Kyle Busch really didn't say anything too out of the way right there from what I saw. So it looked like Rickey Stenhouse Jr. just had his mind made up of what he was going to do. And he basically said it in the interview before all this happened. But yeah, I didn't see anything where Kyle Busch said anything out of the way there. But it is what it is. He did wreck him on the track. So both guys are going to think they're right. I don't think they're going to change their mind. And that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, we'd love to have your subscription. Hope you had a good Monday. If you got a question or comment, leave it down in the comment section. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. If you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate all you as well. If you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. The link is in the description. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.